All right. So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite funds. All right, this particular fund in the past 10 years has more than doubled the returns of the S&P 500. So if you're looking for a fund that is perfect to invest in during this current downturn, that's going to get you potential outstanding returns in the next 5, 10, 15 years, then make sure you stick around because you're not going to want to miss this. What's up, everybody? This is Positive Finances. Those of you that don't know me, I am Jose, and on this channel, we talk about everything and anything that affects you and your money. If you want to skip ahead or go back to a certain section that passed, I added some timestamps below, so feel free to check them out. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Nasdaq 100. It is one of my favorite funds to be investing in, so I want to go ahead and cover all the little details for you guys about it, so that way you guys could check it out, where you could potentially invest into something in this current down market that we have, to take advantage that some of these investments are currently on for sale. So that way when you invest into it now, 5, 10, 15 years down the road, it'll be totally worth it because you'll be able to potentially get some awesome returns. All right, so here's a quick summary of all things that we're going to be going over in this video. Today we are going to be talking about what the Nasdaq 100 is. We are going to be talking about the different companies that compose the Nasdaq 100. We're going to talk about the sectors that the Nasdaq 100 is going to invest in when it comes to all these companies all put together, of what sectors they fall within. We're going to talk about the ETFs, of how you will be able to invest into the Nasdaq 100. We're going to be talking about dividends, and we're also going to be comparing the Nasdaq 100 with the S&P 500, so that way you can see side by side how the Nasdaq 100 has measured compared to the S&P 500. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go straight into the computer so we can cover all the little details about it. Pretty excited to talk about this particular fund because personally this is one of my favorite funds that I currently invest in. So here we're going to be talking about the Nasdaq 100 index and what it is. We're going to go over details about it. So the Nasdaq 100 is a basket of the 100 largest, most actively traded U.S. companies listed on the Nasdaq stock exchange. The index includes companies from various industries except for the financial industry, like commercial and investment banks. These non-financial sectors include retail, biotechnology, industrial, technology, healthcare, and others. All right, so here they're going to be talking about how they determine how much of an individual company is invested into the Nasdaq 100, how it's weighted for the index. So the index is construed on a modified capitalization method methodology. This modified method uses individual weights of included items according to their market capitalization. Weighting allows constraints to limit the influence of the largest companies and balance the index with all members. To accomplish this, Nasdaq reviews the composition of the index each quarter and adjusts weights if the distribution requirements are not met. So in summary, the Nasdaq makes sure that each quarter they go ahead and they adjust as needed for the companies, so that way they can try to maintain a well-balanced index. All right, so let's go over the criteria for eligibility. For a company to be able to be part of the Nasdaq 100, this is the criteria that they need to meet. So here it says, for inclusion of the Nasdaq 100 index, securities must be listed exclusively on a Nasdaq exchange. This can include common stocks, ordinary shares, American depository receipts, and tracking stocks. 27 countries are tied to companies represented in the index. Other grounds for inclusion comprise market capitalization and liquidity. While there is no minimum requirement for market capitalization, the index itself represents the top largest 100 companies listed on the Nasdaq. All right, so one of the other things that I love so much about this fund is that you have to be a top performer to stay on here. You have to be within the top 100 companies, okay? If you have any type of issues like a bankruptcy pending or whatever the case might be, you will get removed from the Nasdaq 100 as a company and replaced by another company that is a top performer as well, that's earned their spot within that top 100. So by investing into the Nasdaq 100 index, you will always be investing into top 100 performing companies within the Nasdaq. All right, so on this page, I'm going to show you all the companies that are within the Nasdaq 100. So here on the top companies, as you can see, you can have your company name on the first column. Here's the ticker symbols. If you ever want to look up the different companies on your brokerage, you can look them up based off of the ticker symbols that are on here. Here's the weight of how much of this company compromises. And here on this weight column, you can see how much of this individual company you'll be able to find within the Nasdaq 100. Your current prices, how much they've changed recently up in the prices or not. So here in the list, as you can see, we're going to look at the top 10 companies to start off with. We got Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Alphabet, Meta, Alphabet Inc., Nvidia, PepsiCo, and Costco. Those consist of the top 10 positions. And here in the top 3 positions, we're going to look at Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. Since these 3 companies are trillion-dollar companies, they're so big in size, that is why they are usually fall within the top positions of any type of investment fund that you look at that is tracking large companies. And as we continue on down looking at the rest of the list, we're going to see as we go down here, we got Broadcom, Cisco, Adobe, Comcast, Intel. The list goes on and on. We got Texas Instruments, T-Mobile, we have Intuit, PayPal. And from here we can continue down. We have other restaurant stuff business, kind of like Starbucks. We have Netflix. Here we got video game industry, which was Activision. We have Airbnb. We have some medical stuff like Moderna. And the list continues going on and on and on. So by all means, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to leave a link of this page on here. All the resources that I have that I'll be going over. I'm going to leave all the links down below. So that way you can go ahead and patiently go down to the link in the description and review each individual page. If you want to take a close look at all the companies that are within the Nasdaq 100, feel free to check out all the links that I leave in the description below on this particular video. Okay, so real quick, so if you are enjoying this video and really want to see more of it, do me a favor and give me a big thumbs up on this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell so that way you can be notified every single time I release a new video. And if you have any questions, by all means, feel free, ask the questions down in the comments below. I will always do my best to respond to you within the comment section. And if I see that it'd be best to answer your question by doing a video, I'll also go ahead and do a video for you to better explain to you any question that you might have. So make sure to leave a comment below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right back to the video. All right, so here we're moving on. We already saw now what 100 companies are currently located within the Nasdaq 100. Now these are the different sectors. So when you take all the companies and you combine them, these are all the different sectors that they fall within and the percentages that they fall within. So we see here the Nasdaq 100 is 50% within the information technology sector. This is where Microsoft falls into. This is where Apple falls into, and many other the top companies that are currently available in the United States do fall into this particular sector. Meta for Facebook falls into this sector and others as well. But we also have consumer discretionary. This is where Starbucks falls under. This is like where restaurants and other items fall within here. We got Tesla fall within the consumer section as well. We got communications for T-Mobile, and we also have consumer staples, healthcare, where Moderna and other medical related companies are going to fall with under. We have industrial and utilities. Now moving along, if you're curious about how you'll be able to invest into the Nasdaq 100, these are the ETFs that are currently tracking the Nasdaq 100. And if you're not familiar with an ETF is an exchange traded fund. So an ETF can be traded on the stock market the same way that you trade regular stocks. So this individual ETF that we see on here, the QQQ, is basically the granddaddy of the Nasdaq 100. So by investing into this one ETF here, into this one ticker symbol, you'll be able to invest into the 100 companies that consist of the Nasdaq 100 that you see on here. And by investing into that one ETF, as we mentioned earlier, all those companies fall within these sectors. So all you have to do, if you want to invest, you could use whichever brokerage it is that you're using, whether it is for your regular traded fund or for retirement funds or whatever the case might be. Just look up some of these ticker symbols and then you'll be able to invest into them. So I want to go ahead and cover over some of these options that you currently have on here. So as I mentioned earlier, QQQ is the initial granddaddy when it comes to the funds that were available for investing into it. So its current size for this fund right here is currently at $177 billion. It has an expense ratio of 20 for that particular expense ratio. All right, so right here, the QQQM was just recently started. This QQQM tracks the exact same companies that the QQQ does as well. The biggest difference on this one is that this one was recently created to offer people one that has a smaller expense ratio. So when it comes to these two that you see on here, the QQQM is more for the long-term investor that is looking for lower expense ratios. So if you're looking to invest 5, 10, 15 years into the Nasdaq 100, then the QQQM will be the most ideal one for you. If you're looking to be a day trader and want more liquidity, which you want to be able to handle big funds and trade big options at a very short notice, then the QQQM would be your option. It does have a higher expense ratio, but because it is a much bigger fund, it could handle all the tradings of big amounts that you're looking for if you are a day trader. So for day traders, QQQ, and if you're more of a long-term investor, then QQQM would be ideal for you. So QQQM is currently the one that I am investing in because I am more of a long-term investor. All right, so moving along, if you're looking to try to bet against the Nasdaq 100, then you would go for SQQQ. This is shorting. I could do another video later on in the future here shortly about shorting, how that works. So basically, if you believe that the fund is going to go down and you want to bet against it, then this would be the fund that you would go for. TQQQ, it is the exact opposite. If you really believe that the fund is going to continue going up and do outstanding, you could go for the TQQQ. This is a leverage fund. What a leverage fund does is that it does 3x of whatever the individual fund does. So for example, if the QQQ goes up 10%, then since the TQQQ is a triple leverage, this one technically would go up about 30% is what they would try to do. On that note, if the QQQ goes down 10%, then this one can go down 30% as well. So I do not recommend the SQQQ or the TQQQ to any type of beginner investors. These two funds right here are for very experienced investors. If you are a beginner, if you want to be able to do just a long-term investing, invest and chill, then go ahead and just go for the QQQM, which here is a QQQM. This is the best option for you if you are just a beginner, long-term investor that just wants to invest money into a fund and just let it grow. Now, right here, I want to show you that the Nasdaq 100 does pay a dividend. So if you were to invest into the QQQ, the current dividend is a 0.53%. But if you wanted to go for the QQQM, the dividend on that is 0.51%. So dividends are bonus money. So the way it works is for the amount of money that you have invested in the individual fund, like the QQQM, for example, they will go ahead and pay you a 0.51% quarterly. So every 3 months, you're going to get bonus money given to you just for owning this individual fund, and that free money you can go ahead and take it and reinvest it back into the fund and let that help you continue growing your investment. All right, so here comes some of the good parts right here. So here I have 3 funds that are outlined because I want to show you in comparison of how they've been doing. So for example, in the past 5 years, here we have the Nasdaq 100, which here is the QQQ. Down here, we have the S&P 500, which you'll be able to see in this orange yellow line. So here is the S&P 500, and the ticker symbol that I'm currently using for here is VOO. And down here in the purple line, this is the world market. So Vanguard has a fund called the VT, or a ticker symbol, which is for the world market. So if you wanted to invest into the world market, that would be the fund right there. Now, as you can see here, I currently have selected the 5-year mark. I want you to see the past 5 years, what these funds have been doing so far. So as we can see here, for the 5th year, the Nasdaq 100 has done a return of 125%, when the S&P 500 has done a return of 73%, and the world market has done a return of 38% in the past 5 years. So currently, as you can see here, the Nasdaq 100, which is the top 100 companies, would be a clear winner if you want to be able to potentially get the most return on your investment. Now, keep in mind that companies that are currently located in the Nasdaq 100, these 100, you'll be able to find these same companies as well within the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies, and within this fund, which tracks all the companies in the world all combined. So all you're doing by going straight to a fund like the Nasdaq 100 is that basically you're just trimming off the smaller companies out of the fund and really just hyper focusing on the top 100 performing companies to invest in. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video so far. Personally, me, I'm a big fan of the Nasdaq 100. I love the companies that are within it. I really love the returns that they've been doing. Now, granted, I know I'm going to get a lot of critics that are going to say
past performance is not guaranteed future performance.
But the thing is, it's a good reference point, right? Because when you have a fund that's been around for a very long time, and it has a history of managing itself very well, then that should give you a certain little sense of security when it comes to whether or not, it is a pretty good fund or not. Because at the end of the day, these funds and fund managers, they want to make some money. And the only way they're going to do it is by proving that the funds that they are managing are good funds to invest in, to investors. They stay very focused on it every quarterly. They look at it and they adjust weights as needed. If they have companies that are not being top performers, they get removed from the Nasdaq 100 and then they'll be replaced with a better company to go in there. So basically, they are doing all of the hard work for me as an investor. All I have to do is dollar cost average, which means consistently invest into these funds, whether the market's up or whether the market's down. I consistently invest every week into these type of funds, right? Every week I'll put X amount of dollars into this fund. I'm constantly investing into it for the future because I am a long-term investor, and this is how you need to be investing. You need to be investing with the mentality of a long-term investor, okay? All right, so depending on what type of investor you are, this could be something that you could want to look at. Nasdaq 100, top 100 companies. Personally, I love it. I invest into it. I invest into it once a week during this current down market. I am really looking forward to 5, 10, 15 years down the road when it's time to start cashing out. Then I'll be having a great returns for my current investments. Now, full disclosure, I am not a financial advisor. I'm just some random guy here that's presenting to you what I'm currently doing. And the good thing is that I am presenting to you the facts. I'm presenting to you information. All this information, I'm going to have them down in the description below. Feel free to go down the description, click on all the links, do your research yourself that I'm showing you. And that way, if you do decide to invest into it, you're going to do it based off of your own individual educated decision. All right, you'll see the facts, compare it to other funds. Use that Google Finance if you want to compare the returns of multiple investment funds, and go for it to help you make an educated decision. And all I want to say, thank you guys for sticking around. You guys are awesome. If you want to visit my channel, you can click here on my picture to check out some of my other videos, or you can click on my recommended videos that I have over here. And remember, always stay positive. Together, we can do this.